Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Tuesday, August 11th, and it is 11:23 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, I've already recorded one video and have uploaded it. It is still processing, as is the story of my life, but it should be available shortly, and by the time you've looked at that, this should be available. But I know some of you are not the late night owls that I am. But anyway, it'll be there in the morning if you want to if you wish to watch it. Now, I did already thank people that I wanted to thank in the last video, but I do want to thank all of you that support this channel via Ko-fi, via Patreon, or what have you. I appreciate it very, very much, and it keeps me doing what I do. And of course, the channel has been demonetized, as have most channels which are speaking about things that concern the right, the Republicans or the right or conservatives. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick up right from where we left off in the last video. And I do want to mention to you, if you haven't seen the last video, I may not be recording a video tomorrow. It is my birthday and my parents are having something for me at their house, which I hear involves barbecue steak. Well, you know, you don't have to ask me twice. So anyway, I am going to try to do a short one in the daytime. So I will attempt to do that. So anyway, but if you don't see me tomorrow, you'll know why. I'm celebrating my birthday. Okay, well, let's just pick up here. This is where we left off in the last video. And look at this. It says, "You've got to be joking me. How many explosions is that now?" England's second largest city, Birmingham, right now. And this was August 10th. So this is something that I should have brought to you yesterday. Yeah, another fire. I'll just play this here. I don't think we need to, but these are happening all over the world. There's fires happening like this everywhere. And it kind of makes me wonder. There was extensive tunnels discovered under the one in Beirut. So what were those tunnels used for? And it was right by a port. So without being 100% sure, I'm 99.9% sure that there was trafficking involved. And I'm wondering if some of these other explosions are the same deal. I don't know. But they're happening all over the world. And it's getting to be a daily occurrence. You're seeing these huge fires. So I don't know, but I would wonder if this is something, you know, that they are working behind the scenes right now. Child trafficking is human trafficking as a whole, not just child trafficking, but human trafficking as a whole is a huge concern to the Trump administration, and I'm certainly glad, because there's been more busts, you know, since he's been in office, since any other president. So anyway, it just makes me wonder about these fires and how they're all connected, because I'm pretty sure they are. They're happening all over the world, and just seems to be all of a sudden, and that cannot be a coincidence. It can't. All right. All righty. Okay. And this from Anne Marie Bell. I seem to not be able to get extremely comfortable anymore for some reason. I don't know if I shifted or what, but now it's getting even more interesting. They can't hide it any longer. HCQ cure is coming to the forefront. Patriots, Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, sues the FDA and the HHS over HCQ censorship. So we need to stay on top of this, or I need to stay on top of this to bring it to you guys, what is happening with this. But they are bringing, the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons is bringing complaint. It's versus the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Stephen M. Hahn, Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, Gary L. Disbrow, PhD, Acting Director, Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, Who else here? Well, she only took a picture of this much, so I don't know, but this is very good news as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure you would agree with that. So let's hope and pray that they are successful, because it's criminal. I do believe that there are a lot of people dead that didn't need to die, and I think you're all quite aware of that as well. So let's pass on that and just continue on here. Evan Kilgore says, how many left-wing journalists have tweeted about Donald Trump authorizing $430 million to fight sex trafficking? None? Shocker. Yeah, not so shocking, is it? Of course they're not going to tweet about that. Excuse me. Woo! Goodness. I know it's not good to hold in your sneezes, but did you want me to blow my sneeze all over the microphone? Of course you didn't. All right. Now, let's look at this. Propaganda alert. This is propaganda to the full extent, and I think you'll see why. Trying to convince us that this vaccine is perfectly safe. Blatant propaganda. Now, watch this. This woman in the red dress is receiving the vaccine. Okay, the only problem is when you get close, first of all, the person administering it does not push the plunger. Now, I give myself vitamin B12 shots once a month. It's a prescription. And, I give myself shots once a month of vitamin B12, and I know you got to push the plunger in or the liquid doesn't come out of the tube into your arm. So, yeah, she doesn't push the plunger, and the cap is still on when she takes this away. Now, so I'm going to make this bigger for you tiny phone people because I've got to keep you in mind always. I figure that if you are devoted enough to listen to me on a tiny phone, then I've got to be devoted to you as well and make it easier for you. That's what I believe anyway. Okay, so let's play this. This is the woman. She's getting the vaccine from this person who, I don't know, obviously isn't a nurse because doesn't know to push the plunger, and also leaves the cap on, meaning this woman didn't get vaccinated at all. And then she says, didn't hurt a bit. No, it doesn't hurt a bit when somebody doesn't give me a needle as well. Right. Okay. Let's listen.
Perfect push for Queenslanders like the Premier to get the jab.
Except there was no push.
Oh, that's right. I didn't feel it.
I didn't feel it. No, of course you didn't feel it. You didn't get a needle. Watch this. Cap still on. Doesn't push the plunger. And the cap is still on. Yeah, got to take that cap off before you give yourself the needle. Just saying. Just saying.
I didn't feel it.
No, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it at all. So, let's just see that one more time. Yeah, to give yourself a needle, those of you that have never had to give someone else a needle or given yourself a needle, you got to take the cap off. And most people push it up a little bit, flick it to get the bubbles out, put it in your arm, push the plunger, take it out, and then after that you give a cotton ball and you clean it with rubbing alcohol first. I didn't see her do that, and I didn't see her put a Band-Aid or anything on it afterwards. Of course you wouldn't need to, would you, when it's all fake?
Perfect push for Queenslanders like the Premier to get the jab.
Oh, that's right. I didn't feel it.
Oh, she didn't feel it. Imagine. Cap still on, and she didn't push the plunger. They missed that part. She didn't. There's no way. She just gave that woman a needle, and then she goes, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. No. I don't feel it either when I don't give myself a needle. All right. Anyway, there you go. Now, I know that there are some nurses watching, and you'll be able to pick that up right away without me pointing it out that, wait a minute, she didn't give her a needle. But, of course, they think we are stupid, don't they? Yes, they do. All right, let's go back now and get into something else. Ryan Fournier says President Trump was just rushed. Now, this is old news now because it's only, I think, a day old, and it's old news already. I should have brought this yesterday. But for those of you who don't know, and I don't know who that would be because you would have been having to live, I don't know, without TV, without internet, without anything, to have not heard this. President Trump was just rushed from the briefing room by Secret Service. There was an armed gunman near the White House. They were shot by police. Thank you to our law enforcement for keeping the president safe. And I second that. I mean, we are very, very grateful for the Secret Service. They did a wonderful job. They did what they were designed to do. They did it quickly and efficiently. Now, this guy was obviously, I saw the video where he was apprehended. Well, he was shot, then apprehended. And, and they were trying to save his life. And so I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see if anything more comes out about that because it was awfully strange. And here's today's explosion comes from Volgograd, Russia. Another explosion, weird explosion, huge explosion. I like this guy. This guy, watch him. Watch him. He's like, nope, not today. Not today, Satan. Oh, I don't know. What are all these things? I don't know. And this was from August 10th. So again, I should have brought this to you yesterday. I apologize. But what are all these explosions? What are they? They're all over the world and they're happening every day. It's bizarre. Let's look at this. No, really, let's. All right, Lebanon ain't playing around. They are getting ready to publicly hang their corrupt politicians, which is exactly what we need to do in the U.S. Don't show this to Jussie Smollett or to Bubba, the race car driver. Yeah, he'll be like, look at all those garage pull downs. Yeah, so, interesting, isn't it? Things are not going well there at all. So let's go back now and look at this. Another odd thing. And this is a couple days old as well. No pajama pants allowed while learning from home, Illinois district says. So kids that are learning from home can no longer wear pajama pants to study at home. The key to that being at home. Right. I could be wearing pajama pants right now. You'd never know. I'm not. I'm wearing jeans, but I could be wearing pajama pants. Nobody'd ever know. So what's wrong with that? Who cares? The Springfield, Illinois school district said it would require students to follow its dress code regardless of how classes are held. Students in the capital of Illinois are not allowed to wear hats, bandanas, sunglasses, pajama pants, or slippers in school buildings, and that dress code now extends to their bedrooms and kitchen tables. Yep, no slippers for you kids. Get those slippers off your feet. Don't make me have to come over there. No sunglasses either, or bandanas. Bandanas, evil bandanas. Don't be wearing bandanas, kids. We'll come to your house and we'll make you take them off. We don't need students in pajamas and all those other things while on their Zoom conferences, Jason Wind, the district's director of student support, explained during an online board meeting of Springfield Public Schools this week. Along with the clothing requirements, the district's remote learning guidelines mandate that students be sitting up, out of bed, preferably at a desk or table. And get those slippers off your feet, because I'm sure people can see that on Zoom. Now, I can see sunglasses because I know I wouldn't want to be teaching a class with students that were wearing sunglasses. I wouldn't enjoy that very much, and I would refuse. I would refuse to do that. But anyway, who cares if they're in their pajama bottoms, because you don't see them on Zoom anyway, and who cares if they've got a bandana or if they're wearing slippers. They could be sitting at it. You know what? I'm just like that. I'd be like sitting there with 3 pairs of slippers jammed on my feet. They wouldn't know, but I would know, and it would make me smile. Anyway, we don't need students in pajamas and all those other things. Okay, so let me see. Along with clothing requirements, blah, blah, blah. Students have to be sitting up, out of bed, preferably at a desk or table. District spokeswoman Bree Hankins said in a statement that the remote learning guidelines were developed collaboratively with teachers, administrators, and parents, and that the dress code reflected what the students would be wearing when in school. The district, which has about 14,000 students, does not expect to be punitive during remote learning, Ms. Hankins said. Our hope is that students approach remote learning as they would in a classroom setting. Well, the big difference is you're not in a classroom setting. Get over it. If students are learning and engaged, that's great. If they're wearing pajama bottoms and they're engaged and they're learning, great. They're comfortable. They're in their own homes. This is ridiculous. Okay. Now let's come down here. Other prohibited items, according to the district's handbook, include clothing that is extremely baggy or that displays offensive language or symbols. Okay, that I could see because you are being seen by other students and your teacher, and so no, you shouldn't be wearing anything like that. But, and they're not allowed to wear shoes that have wheels on the bottom. Are there shoes with wheels? Man, I suddenly feel so old. Each school has a reasonable interpretation of the dress code, depending on the building's culture and climate, the handbook says. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, the district will start the school year on August 31st with a hybrid program with students attending in-person classes 2 days a week. During the 3 days they are at home, the rules will still apply, the district said. Christy Schmidt, who has 2 children that attend school in Springfield, Illinois, said that she watched some of their Zoom calls last semester and that there was no correlation between what students were wearing and whether they paid attention. How much hassle are you going to give the parents with 4 kids working a full-time job trying to support their kids, and their kid attended the Zoom meeting, but he was in pajamas, said Ms. Schmidt, who led a support group for parents during the pandemic. Really crazy, if you ask me. You know, and if I was teaching a class online to students, I wouldn't care what they were dressed in, as long as the portion that I could see was not obscene, as long as they were dressed, didn't have anything offensive on, and not sunglasses. That would be an absolute no-no, but I'm just saying, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, now this literally struck fear into my heart, and not too many things can strike fear into my heart, and I don't mean this as fear porn. I don't. In fact, I'm not even sure if I believe this. So you guys that are in Texas are going to have to inform me. So listen up, Heather H. in Houston. I need your help on this, and anyone else that happens to be in Texas. All right. Let's look at this, and you'll see right away why this would have caused me fear. I hear crickets, like really loud. Okay, coronavirus infecting cats, United States, and says College Station, Texas scientists have reported finding 2 pet cats with the coronavirus, the first in the state. The cats were swabbed as part of a study being conducted at Texas A&M University to understand how pets living in a high-risk household may be impacted by COVID-19. The cats were in separate homes in Brazos County and asymptomatic. One cat began sneezing after a visit from researchers. Yeah, they probably planted it in the cat. Seriously. The cat was perfectly fine before they got tested, and then after they got tested, they were sneezing. What does that tell you? A nasal swab sample is collected from Crockett, a study participant from Bryan, Texas, Texas A&M College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. Dr. Sarah Hammer, an epidemiologist, told KBTX-TV Friday that her team was testing dogs and cats who live in homes where the coronavirus has infected at least one person. The study began in June. A team of researchers at the Texas A&M College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Science has confirmed the first cats in Brazos County have tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. They also believe that these would be the first 2 cats that have tested positive for the virus in Texas. Dr. Sarah A. Hammer, researcher on the project, told KBTX the 2 cats that tested positive were living in separate households. In both cases, these cats were asymptomatic, said Dr. Hammer. I can say that after we sampled, the owner let us know that one of the cats was sneezing for a few days after we left the house. The COVID-19 and pet research project started in June. The veterinary researcher started working with the Brazos County Health Department. Oh my gosh. Xander is up on top of my china cabinet again. And that... Oh, Xander. Sorry, I'm yelling into the microphone. Xander. I might have to have a cat intervention, or else there may be a catastrophe. It would be catastrophic. All right. Well, I guess it looks like he is looking up at the ceiling. Perhaps he sees a tiny spider. Let's just go with that. All right. She said now they know, she said now that they know there's a chance for pets to become infected in COVID-positive homes, pet owners should be cautious if they become infected, but that they should not worry. Under no circumstances would an owner of an infected pet be asked to surrender their pets. Okay, that's good news, because before, when I was reading about this somewhere, it was saying that they would require you to surrender your pet. That is terrifying to me, that somebody could just come into my home and take my animals. And you know, that is a form of terrorism in itself, because most people cherish their animals. They're like family members. Well, they're not like family members. They are family members. They are a part of the family. And, you know, especially, I mean, if you are by yourself and have pets, they come to mean everything to you. And if you are in a home with children, I mean, they get attached to pets. And, I mean, just that would be awful. Anyway, under no circumstances would an owner of an infected pet be asked to surrender their pets, and there's no need to worry about a diagnosis. But when we do find out that a pet is positive, we will work with those owners to take preventative measures to make sure that that pet is staying home, it's not interacting with other pets, and is isolating in the same way that positive people would isolate, said Dr. Hammer. So, okay, well, that puts my mind at ease a bit, because I would not. Since late June, we've sampled over 50 houses, and each house might have 1 or more pets, so it certainly isn't common to find an infection in the pets, but we're certainly trying to figure out under what circumstances pets are becoming infected, said Dr. Hammer. Since the study is relatively new, Dr. Hammer said there is a lot to learn. Our study is very much still moving forward. We're actively enrolling new pets every day, making site visits. So nearly every day of the week, there's a lot more that we can learn. For example, how long do infected pets stay infected? Do they recover? How commonly do infected pets have clinical signs? These are all things that will take larger sample sizes and more studying to be able to learn more about, she said. Dr. Hammer said, there is no evidence of transmission from an infected pet to a person. Well, then how are the pets getting it? Pray tell. Seriously, how are they getting it? I mean, if you've got inside pets and they're not outside, they're not getting anything from anyone else, and you have COVID, you're obviously transmitting it to your pet. So, how can they say that it's not transmissible from the pet to a human if it's being transmitted from a human to a pet? Please, make that make sense for me. Our study certainly wasn't designed to be able to detect that. We weren't looking at the directionality. Can the pets give it to the humans? Can the humans give it to the pets? But one important thing to emphasize is that we are sampling exclusively houses where at least one person has been diagnosed as positive, said Dr. Hammer. She explained to us how animals can get involved in the study. Oh yeah, right. That's the last thing I would do. So anyway, said for the future of the study, Dr. Hammer said they're going to focus on sampling cats and dogs, but that they plan on branching out soon. To what? Birds, ferrets, rats, hamsters? What? What are you going to test? Horses, cows, sheep and pigs, chickens? What are you going to test? Any mammal that's in a domestic environment. Well, that opens it wide up, doesn't it? Speaking nationally and globally, both dogs and cats have shown to be infected and or have been exposed to the virus. In our study so far, we've confirmed infection in these 2 cats. Now, what I am worried about is that if this gets widespread, which it wouldn't surprise me if they're planting that in the pets, if there is widespread of COVID among animals, and if it's ever proven that they can transmit to human, and obviously if a human can transmit to the animal, it can happen the other way around, well then what's going to happen to all our pets? I don't know. I'm not going to think about it, and I'm not trying to spread fear porn. I just wanted you to be aware because it's crazy. Aw, poor little dog. All right. In July, a pet dog in Fort Worth, Texas, tested positive for the virus. Its owners had the virus. So obviously, where did the dog get it? Where did the dog get it? It's not brain surgery here. The dog got it from the owners. And if the dog can get it from the owners, then the owners can get it from a dog, right? I don't like it. In April, federal officials confirmed 2 cats who lived in different parts of New York had tested positive for the virus. They had mild respiratory illnesses. So if any of you have tested positive for COVID, then I guess be aware that it can transmit to your cat. And if your cat is sneezing and experiencing respiratory illness, you may need to take it to the vet. I don't know if this is a real thing or just more fear porn on behalf of the media. I don't know, but you guys can let me know if you've heard anything about this, you guys that are in Texas, because I don't like it when they start getting into the pets having it. I really don't. Okay, now let's go back. And okay, look at this. This is from Southern, but no Bell. So where is the media? Why haven't we heard anything about this? Well, once you find out what it is, that question will answer itself. This is Janet Reed, Democrat activist, arrested for pre-checking the Democrat box on over 400 mail-in ballots. Gee, that maybe could be why. No, not maybe. That is why we haven't heard about it. Of course. Because the Democrats want us to think that mail-in ballots, it's safe. It's safe. Right. Okay. Let's look at this because we can and we will. Okay, this is the story about the little 5-year-old boy, and I've already covered that tonight. And this is a quote by someone who witnessed it. I saw him run right up to him, and he put the gun right up to his head and shot him. Absolutely. I mean, look at this boy. What a sweet little boy. 5-year-old Cannon Hinant. He was allegedly executed, not allegedly, he was executed at point blank range with a shotgun to the head by a 25-year-old felon. Unbelievable. I just feel, I'm sure the little boy probably felt next to nothing, but the pain that his parents and his 2 sisters must be going through, I just feel so sorry for them. All right. Now, yes, and have you heard that the Seattle police chief, Carmen Best, is resigning? Now, again, this should have been brought to you before now because this was, well, it was a day ago. So it was yesterday's news. But yeah, Seattle police chief Carmen Best to resign following department cuts because apparently they're cutting more than 50% from the police budget. Right. How are the police supposed to do their job with that? So she's resigning. And you know what? I don't blame her. I don't blame her in the least, but it's too bad because people say she is a really good police chief. So that is very, very sad. All right, and let's see. Oh yes, this is I mentioned this in the last video about the chainsaw in Toronto at Cherry Beach. Just bizarre. 2 people with chainsaws arrested after large fight at Cherry Beach in Toronto. So here are the 2 suspects. No surprise there. And they were carrying running chainsaws. 2 people were injured this morning and 2 others were arrested after a fight broke out between what people are describing as a large group of people near Toronto's Cherry Beach. Chainsaws were involved. Encountering 2 men bleeding, carrying running chainsaws on my morning ride on the trail leading to Cherry Beach from Tommy Thompson, said witness Valeria Lauren on Twitter of the bizarre incident, which took place around 9:45 a.m. Sunday morning. Let me repeat, running chainsaws face to face with them in the middle of the trail. Scary as F. Out of a effing moving. What the F, Toronto? Another Twitter user wrote similarly that 2 guys with chainsaws covered in blood were charging people at Cherry Beach. Though Lauren says she didn't see the men charging at anyone and that she doesn't believe they were there to attack people. Well, they were running at people, and yes, they were there to attack people. Assault, and it says different accounts of what happened this morning have also emerged on Facebook and Reddit. Some people say the chainsaw-wielding men moved to let them pass on the bike path, while others say they saw the men lunging at cyclists. One thing that all of the witnesses appear to agree on, however, is that both men and their chainsaws were running at the time, a terrifying sight to behold in the woods under any circumstances. Images sent to blog TO by a witness who called, and TO is what they call Toronto, by a witness who calls 911, show the 2 men without shirts on walking along the trail. In one shot, they appear to be revving the machines. I was running along the trail and saw 2 guys pick up chainsaws, said the witness. They were both bleeding. Seems like they had attacked one another and were in rough shape themselves. Toronto, what y'all doing? Cherry Beach got 2 guys covered in blood carrying running chainsaws. What? Went for my morning beach coffee at Cherry Beach today. Big mistake. I get out of the car at the far end of the parking lot and these 2 runners and a cyclist are talking frantically, wrote another person on Facebook. They're telling people not to go on the trail. They just saw 2 men covered in blood carrying running chainsaws. They came at the ladies, then ran off into the woods. It had just happened 10 minutes later. Every police car in the city was there. Police were indeed quick to arrive in great numbers and managed to stop the chaos. Toronto Police Constable Carolyn DeCloit confirmed that 2 people were arrested and that 2 others suffered unknown injuries. When asked about the chainsaws, DeCloit said the original 911 caller had mentioned them, but the officers do not believe a chainsaw was used as a weapon. Not what I heard. I heard that they were chasing people with it, which actually means they were using it as a weapon, and they obviously used it on one another because they were covered in blood. An investigation is ongoing and police remain at the scene near Unwin Avenue and Cherry Street as of late Sunday afternoon. And, you know, they used to call Toronto the Good. That's what they called it because nothing bad ever happened in Toronto. But that has really changed. Okay. Now, let's look at this. Global lockdown set to plunge 100 million into extreme poverty. Now, this is from yesterday. The impact of the global coronavirus lockdown is set to plunge 100 million people into extreme poverty, warns a new report by the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting. The report appears to pin the blame on COVID-19 itself for the economic impact, yet the actual culprit is discovered to be restrictions put in place by governments in response to the pandemic. It's not the pandemic itself that's causing the problems, it's the restrictions, and I think we're all well aware of that. With the virus and its restrictions, up to 100 million more people globally could fall into bitter existence of living on just $1.90 a day, according to the World Bank. That's well below any reasonable conception of a life with dignity. The United Nations Special Reporter on extreme poverty wrote this year, and it comes on top of the 736 million people already there, half of them in just 5 countries: Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Congo, and Bangladesh. The report notes that the impact of the lockdown on the poor in countries like India was so abrupt and punishing that the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, begged for forgiveness. The report will stir up further debate as to whether the global lockdown will prove more deadly than COVID-19 itself, with extreme poverty being directly linked to death and shortened lifespans. According to the research published by Imperial College London and Johns Hopkins University, around 1.4 million people are expected to die from unrelated TB infections, tuberculosis infections, due to the coronavirus lockdown. Experts have also warned that hundreds of thousands or even millions of people could die in the longer term as a result of the lockdown, preventing them from receiving treatment for cancer and other serious illnesses. Given that many of those sunk into extreme poverty as a result of the lockdown live in sub-Saharan Africa, this could also exacerbate mass immigration from that region into Europe. It's a timely reminder that the main cost of the lockdowns favored by liberal policymakers across the world will not be people in the West, but those hovering just above the poverty line in the developing world, writes Toby Young. Thanks to the misguided enthusiasm of Western governments for imprisoning entire populations in their homes, thereby triggering a global recession, tens of millions of people will die of starvation in low-income countries. Yes, I believe that wholeheartedly, and I think that that is the whole point in all the restrictions. And let's look at this. This is from Natural News. Unemployment now at Great Depression levels, food inflation soaring. Ever since pretty much all of America shut down back in late February and early March due to fears about the Wuhan coronavirus, tens of millions of Americans have lost their jobs, and food prices for everyone have continued to soar, rivaling what transpired during the infamous Great Depression. Everyday Americans are now finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet, especially as government welfare packages, including free money relief bills, have reached their expiration dates. Unemployment levels are now said to be at Great Depression levels, and food prices in some areas are off the charts. Since February, meat and poultry prices, for instance, have increased by 11%, while beef prices are about 20% higher than prior to the pandemic. Yes, that's right, pandemic. Pork prices are about 8.5% higher on average, while eggs cost 10% more than they once did. Fresh vegetables and cereal are both up more than 4%, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. The pandemic has caused a surge in demand for groceries as millions of Americans stay home and avoid eating out, noted CNN Business. While there's no significant shortage of food, disruptions in the supply chain have created scarcities and driven up prices. As we reported, one of these major supply chain disruptions occurred in Canada back in late March when government officials there declared agriculture to be a non-essential service. Oh, I remember that well. Because some farmers were not allowed to harvest food during the peak of the pandemic, much of it apparently rotted on the vine, leaving grocery stores' shelves bare and shoppers scrambling to store up what they could in anticipation of widespread and prolonged shortages. The following episode of the Health Ranger Report is worth a watch because it discusses the much bigger problem of global debt bomb, which will affect all countries, not just the U.S. And tens of millions of Americans can't pay their rent, so there's a big problem with that, and that is coming to a head rather quickly. Since that time, grocery store shelves throughout North America have been restocked, but the situation has devolved in other ways. Food prices are rising at the same time that many people are unable to find work or are simply not allowed to go back to work. The $600 per week government unemployment disbursements have ended, with new proposed relief bills stalled in deadlock. Well, not anymore. So anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of that. But yeah, these are problems. And I'm sorry, I just saw this. Yeah, and I know we've seen it up here. I mean, it's $8 for a watermelon. $8 for a watermelon. That's right. And, you know, the prices here have just skyrocketed. I notice, honestly, every time I go to the grocery store, the prices are up. Every time. Because I know what I pay for things. And I'll look and I'll go, that just went up 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents, $1. You know, it's nonstop. So, all right. Okay, well, we just looked at this. I don't know why I put that in twice, because we've already seen it. And yeah, let's look at this. Yeah. Okay, now this is another thing that's going to make you go, huh? No. Professor says 2 + 2 = 4 reeks of white supremacist patriarchy. Math, it's racist, you know. If you believe 2 + 2 = 4, you might be a racist. Brooklyn College professor Lori Rubel says that the equation, like 2 + 2 = 4, reek of white supremacist patriarchy. That's right. Professor Rubel tries to make the argument that objective truth is a social construct. Well, here's a objective truth. Okay, well, here's an objective truth. If you are on the top of a building and you jump, gravity will pull you to the ground real quick. Now, is that a social construct? I think not. Idiot. I can't believe this person is a professor. Well, that social construct is responsible for building skyscrapers and airplanes. She goes on to say that math is not neutral, nor is it pure. She says the goal of math should be about nurturing people and protecting the planet. Harvard HPD candidate Kareem Carr also says that math should be reevaluated because it was primarily developed by white men. No, actually, math is in the universe. I remember taking a course on that, which I got a 98. And it was basically, math is built into the fabric of the universe. Nobody invented math. They found math. The idea that mathematics is no longer an absolute truth could be problematic for engineers trying to build a bridge or astronauts trying to get to the moon. And good luck trying to make change down at Walmart. Yeah. But apparently, yeah. If you say 2 + 2 = 4, you're racist. They just keep inventing new ways for white people to feel bad about themselves, don't they? Yeah. Okay. There's something else that's going to make you go, huh? No. Wisconsin agency tells employees they must wear a face mask for at-home Zoom calls to set a good example. They're at home with nobody there, but they need to wear a face mask in their own home while they're by themselves to set a good example. All right then. Well, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources employees were told they must wear a face mask during at-home Zoom calls to set a good example. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers issued a statewide mandatory mask mandate on August 1st, but people are not required to wear a face covering in their own homes. Unless you're on Zoom. The head of Wisconsin's DNR sent an email to employees reminding them that they must always wear a face mask even while on a Zoom call. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? In an email to employees sent out on July 31st, the head of Wisconsin's Department of Natural Resources not only reminded employees of Governor Tony Evers' mask order going into effect on August 1st, he also said that every DNR employee must wear a mask even while on a teleconference. Also, wear your mask even if you are at home to participate in a virtual meeting that involves being seen, such as on Zoom or another video conferencing platform, by non-DNR staff. Preston Cole said, according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, set the safety example which shows you as a DNR public service employee care about the safety and health of others. Doesn't matter about your safety. DNR spokeswoman Megan Sheridan spoke with McClatchy News and said that employees wearing masks while video conferencing with external partners sets a good example during the pandemic. By wearing a mask while video conferencing with the general public, we visually remind folks that masking is an important part of navigating the business of natural resources during this tumultuous time, Sheridan said. Cuckoo. We asked staff to wear masks while on externally facing calls. Is that taken out of context, a screenshot of a staff person or high-ranking department official, if not properly attributed, could be misinterpreted to suggest that state employees are not properly following the governor's directive, DNR spokesperson Megan Sheridan said to McClatchy. Yeah, well, isn't that special? So glad I'm not there. Really. So, this by Paul Sperry. Background, people forget that in the 1980s, Dr. Fauci was the U.S. health official who falsely spread the myth of a heterosexual non-blood-borne transmission of AIDS. He caused hysteria in the general population with his initial misdiagnosis of how the HIV virus was transmitted. Well, nothing's changed there. He's still misleading people. So that is it for tonight. I can't believe I got through these. I think that this is stuff that's very old. So, all right. That's it for tonight. And remember, 2 plus 2 does not equal 4, apparently. All right. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. It is now 12:10, so it's officially my birthday. Happy birthday to me. This is my own birthday song. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Wars and famines everywhere, people dying in despair. Happy birthday. Yeah, well, there you go. So, you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth. And check back here. Hopefully tomorrow I will get a video out. If not, I will do 2 videos the next day. But I'm going to try for tomorrow anyway. All right, guys. You have a good evening, and I will talk to you guys later in the next video. All right. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.